I'm Andrene.
And I'm Joel.
And this is a mini episode of Rewind Rewatch, a 90s movie podcast. Welcome back, Rewinders.
Hey.
We are siblings who normally rewatch 90s movies and discuss how well they have aged. But today we are presenting a 90s TV show pilot.
I don't know why you said it like that. Like we've never done this before.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, typically we do this if like life just gets hectic or crazy.
Lifes.
Yeah.
Sometimes when life be lifing, you just need a little respite. Yeah. Do you say respite or do you say respite?
Ew, respite.
You say respite?
Yeah, I don't like respite. I don't like that.
Do you say data or data?
I think it's data. Yeah, data.
Data? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Respite is really bad.
You don't like respite?
No, I don't like that at all.
Sometimes you need a respite from respite.
Ugh. Okay, gross.
Anyway, when we need a respite, or we just don't have the time in our week to kind of get through a movie and the notes and all the research, we have in the past and again this week decided to instead cover a television pilot from the 90s. Mm-hmm. So that is what we're doing today.
And this was voted on by the Patreon.
Yes, it was. So, another bonus perk of being a patron to Rewind Rewatch.
So they have picked the Friends pilot from 1994. And this was a unanimous vote, I believe.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, people were like, Friends! Give us Friends!
Nah, that's crazy. Friends, how do you... this is probably going to be a biased response because I know you're a big Friends fan.
Oh, boy.
But I think of the 90s as the golden era of sitcoms, much as I feel like the 2000s and probably the 2010s is like the golden era of drama series. How do you rank Friends amongst like the best sitcoms of that time? Because it was obviously very popular, and I believe their finale was like one of the most watched TV episodes of all time.
Oh my God. This is definitely top 5 for me. I mean, it might be top 3 if I'm being honest.
Wow.
I
asked the question before you finish your response. Yeah. I asked the question because I feel like this has definitely been a hotly debated show in retrospect. Like, I feel like Friends was super popular, and I feel like now I have definitely heard like people on both sides of the spectrum of like Friends is iconic, Friends was so great, and other people like Friends is actually mad overrated, and I don't really get why this show was so popular. So what would you say to those people to say like, I don't really understand why this show was so hot?
Well, I mean, I'll start by saying that everybody has different tastes.
That's right.
So like, I can't sit here and tell you should like Friends. you know what I mean? Like, I mean, the same can be said for Seinfeld. A lot of people say they don't get it, and I love Seinfeld.
100%. I've definitely heard that, and I also love Seinfeld.
So I feel like it's just a matter of like, what kind of comedy do you like, and also like, where were you in life when you watched the show? I watched a lot of the show as it came out, particularly the later seasons. And I remember like you would watch it and the next day you're talking about it with people like, oh, did you see last night with Ross and Rachel? Like, was he on a break? No, he wasn't on a break. Like, you're having these conversations and debates about it. And it's completely iconic because, again, the whole "we were on a break," everybody knows what that means. Whether you watch Friends or not, like, you're going to know what that phrase means.
Facts.
And even watching it back, like, there are still jokes that, even though I know they're coming, I still will giggle because of the delivery. Like, the way that they communicate with each other and over time how they built this camaraderie, they were able to bounce things off of each other in a way that was just like second nature. And the cast was super close. And it comes through in the writing in the later seasons as the show progresses. But we're here today to talk about the pilot and how that, went to the screen. I kind of want to stop here and just mention who the two creators are. The creators are David Crane and Marta Kaufman. Now, David Crane and Marta Kaufman both did another sitcom prior to this one that was called Dream On, which I've never even heard of. And
Dream on, dream on.
I don't think that no. That was not a theme song.
That's probably why it failed.
Oh, okay. And that was on from 90 to 96. So a little bit of overlap here. And then after...
for 6 years?
Huh? Yeah.
I've never heard that show before in my life.
Yeah. I don't know.
Crazy.
We also were a lot younger. I mean, it came out in 1990, so maybe...
Yeah, but I feel like I was aware of most 90s sitcoms, even if I didn't necessarily watch them, like Wings or, Spin City. Like, I didn't watch those shows, but I knew what Dharma and Greg was.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
Yeah, so...
There was also a lot of sitcoms in the 90s because...
That's what people watched.
That was what people watched at that time, and so every network had multiple sitcoms. You had your Monday shows, your Tuesday shows, your Wednesday shows. So, there's reason to believe that there would have been a lot of shows that just went under the radar.
Oh, absolutely. So after this, David Crane went on to do Episodes, a sitcom with Matt LeBlanc. And that was on from
I had heard of that.
2011, 2017. And then Kaufman went on to do Grace and Frankie. And
I've definitely heard of that.
That was on from 15 to 2022. So they both are pretty successful in creating TV shows that people are interested in and want to watch. So the main stars of the show, as you all know, you have David Swimmer, who plays Ross. You have Jennifer Aniston, who plays Rachel, Courtney Cox, who plays Monica, Lisa Kudrow, who plays Phoebe, Matt LeBlanc, who plays Joey, and Matthew Perry, who plays Chandler. Now, before we get into this actual episode, I wanted to ask you, who is your favorite friend?
Loaded question. Because there's a lot of different ways to answer it.
Okay.
So, I think it's one thing of,
who do you enjoy the most?
Who did I think was the funniest? Who did I think added the most to the show? Who would I most want to hang out with?
Okay, I'm going to ask you two. So one is who was the funniest.
Okay.
And then two is who do you think added the most to the show?
Ooh. I think the friend that you need the most is Ross. Because I think he is the engine that keeps the show going. He might also be the funniest, and I think that a lot of that had to do with the fact that they gave him the most material. So I think he was the funniest character. Was he the funniest actor?
Got you.
Maybe not. I actually think Jennifer Aniston is very funny. That doesn't come through as much in the pilot. I think as the show developed and grew, she got a lot funnier, and they just gave her more comedic material. She's kind of annoying in the pilot, actually. I think my favorite friend, just in terms of when I would watch the show and who I enjoyed the most, was Chandler, just because I feel like his sense of humor was most similar to mine.
Right.
But they do that thing where
once he got with Monica down the road, he stopped being funny.
You knew exactly what I was going to say, because they did the same thing to Jim on The Office.
Yeah.
And they kind of did the same thing to Corey on Boy Meets World.
Yeah. Once they get the girl, it's
and I feel like once
right.
they get married, they just kind of stop being funny. In this episode that we are discussing today, and as well as probably the first 4 seasons, I was always a Chandler guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just loved his intonation, his comedic timing, his sarcasm was just right up my alley. And so I feel like his brand of humor was the one that I enjoyed the most. And then once he got married, I feel like it took a hit.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay.
I feel like they don't know how to write married people. I don't know what.
There's no one married on the staff that can.
I don't know, man.
Turn some jokes out.
I don't know.
I think maybe it's the fact that maybe a lot of their jokes tend to be related to, was it dating or is that what it is?
I have not really figured out a good way to explain why this happens, but I've seen it happen in more than a few sitcoms where I'm this guy gets the girl or he gets married, and then it just feels like they don't give them as much material. I don't know why that is.
It's they've wrapped his storyline up. He's good.
Yeah.
So since you said that Ross is the character that you feel is kind of the main character that holds the meat of the show together.
Yeah, like there's 6 main characters, but he's like actually the main character in my opinion.
So let's start with him.
Yeah.
So in this pilot episode, we learn out the gate that Ross's wife has just left him.
Yes.
And the reason why she leaves him is because we find out that she's a lesbian.
He finds out. He finds out. And so as this show opens, which I did not realize that the series starting scene is in Central Perk Cafe.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And Ross is basically commiserating over the fact that that his wife is moving out and his apartment is now emptying because she's taking all these things. Mm-hmm. And Chandler's doing his Chandler thing and kind of giving his little one-liners about how she left him for another woman.
Yeah. And it feels like the women tend to be a little bit more, and by women I mean like Monica. Monica's there and she's like feeling bad because it's her brother. And the guys are kind of just like making jokes. Yeah. Because Joey's like, wait, like you didn't know she was a lesbian? And he's like, she didn't know. How could I know? It's like, okay. So they're kind of just laughing about it. And Monica's like, oh, you know, it'll be okay. And he just looks like just completely down in the dumps. Which, I mean, you can't blame that.
Which is kind of a theme of Ross. That's not the last time he looks down in the dumps for the run of this series. And I think when I watch TV pilots, especially if I kind of know where the show goes, I always find it interesting to see, like, how much was this show representative of what it became. Mm-hmm. So, like, Seinfeld, for example, is a pilot that feels like they didn't really know what the show they wanted to make was yet. And it doesn't really come into its own, I feel like, until season 2, which is not completely, like, unique. I think that happens to a lot of shows. But as I was watching this, I feel like there were a lot of, like, notes that they were hitting that they continued to hit, like, throughout the run of the series, which I think thought was very impressive. Yeah. That they, like, had a pretty good sense of the show that they wanted to make from episode 1.
Absolutely. The one thing that did stand out to me, though, is, like, Joey seemed a lot more rough around the edges in this episode than he does further down.
But they just kind of made him into a dummy?
Yeah. Because I feel like now he's kind of like a tough guy right now, you know? Yeah.
He's like, he wears leather jackets and he's Italian
guy. Yeah. And later on, he's just like a doofus.
Well, they also did this. This is my second Boy Meets World reference, but they did this with Eric Matthews.
Yeah, that's right.
At the beginning of that show, he was like the cool older brother that got all the girls, and he had amazing hair, and he was just kind of like the cool high school kid. And by the time they got older, by the end of that show's run, he was just like super stupid. They kind of did with Screech too. Like Screech was a nerd at the beginning of Saved by the Bell, but by the end he was like actually dumb. So I don't know what that is. Yeah. And it seems to be something that happens specifically with shows with ensemble casts. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
But yeah, so that stood out to me as far as like Joey doesn't seem like this. Phoebe's character has always been a little, let's say, woo-woo, they used to say. Because in the very first episode, she was talking about, like, Ross tells her to stop trying to read his aura.
He says, stop cleansing my aura.
And that kind of made me chuckle, because I'm like, this came out in 1994. And I'm like, in this day and age, there are definitely people who talk about aura. Or, like,
oh, yeah.
You know, certain rings can pick up your mood. Or like
having, saging the atmosphere. And cleansing the aura of the space.
Yeah, I'm like, that actually aged really well. Yeah. And
well, I feel like the Phoebe, like, alternative hippie-ish lifestyle was probably more of like a New York thing. Not New York specifically, but I feel like it was a little bit more niche in like specific spaces. Mm-hmm. Whether you were like in New York or Seattle or certain places where you would have these types of people. And I feel like over the years it has become a bit more mainstream, maybe because of the internet.
Yeah.
Where like I feel like more people know people like Phoebe now than they would have in 1994.
Exactly. Like Phoebe is definitely the kind of person who has like crystals that she charges outside by the moonlight.
Definitely a crystal girly.
Yeah. So I actually kind of enjoyed that because I was like, oh, like I feel like people know a Phoebe now. Whereas back then it was just like, who is this weird girl and why is she dressed like this? And then Monica, I want to talk about her for a little bit here because as the episode opens, like you said, they're in Central Perk and they're like going in on Monica because she talks about how there's a guy she's going to meet tonight and they're like, oh, what's wrong with him? And I'm like, why are they frying her? Like she can't date a normal guy. Like, oh, does he eat chalk? I was like, what? Why?
Does he eat chalk is nuts.
Why are we doing this to her?
Well, I think one thing that they're establishing from the onset is that all of these people are single. The only one that was married is now single. And so that is the vehicle that's largely going to drive this series is like the fact that they're all in their 20s in a big city and trying to figure out like how to like navigate love and friendship.
Right.
And so I think the Monica character, at least in this episode, is being established as someone who has not had romantic luck and is always getting involved with people that end up not working out for one reason or another, being a dirtbag, having something wrong with them. And in this episode, she gets invited to go out by this guy, Paul the wine guy.
The wine guy.
Not exactly sure why he's the wine guy.
I'm thinking he sells wine?
They don't explain it. It's just the wine guy.
That's just what I think. He sells it.
And he ends out to not. He doesn't really work out either. I guess it would be appropriate for me to mention, as I'm talking about them all being single and living in a big city, that one of the big gripes that people have about this show is that people say that they basically stole the idea of living single. And so living single was basically 5 single people living in a big city, trying to navigate love and relationships and friendships. And then this was basically like the same concept, but with white people.
Right.
So I think that is also a part of the reason why like sometimes this show kind of gets shade. So what happens with Paul the wine guy?
So Monica goes out with him, and while they're out at dinner, Paul the wine guy confides in her and says basically that his wife, I believe, left him, and he just was down on his luck, and ever since she left, he has not been able basically to have sex.
Ever since she walked out on me.
What?
Ever since she left me, I haven't been able to perform sexually.
And we get a nice spit take here. Because when he says it, she's taking a drink at the restaurant, and then she's able to spit on him. And I'm like, oh, the 90s spit take. We used to love that back in the day.
You know what?
And by we, I mean like the people.
Not a fan of spit take. I don't think I've ever been a fan of spit take. It always felt very on the nose and like, I don't know. It just
forced.
It was there. It definitely felt forced. Like this is nothing that I've ever really seen outside of a sitcom. Now I have seen people like drinking something and then they laugh and they start to kind of gurgle their drink and maybe it dribbles down their chin.
Yes.
But I've never seen anyone have a spit take from being surprised. It's usually from trying to control their laughter. So I'm like, this is something that literally only happens on TV.
Yeah, well, it's fun.
So we find out later that Paul the wine guy uses this story about being unable to perform as a pickup line because when Monica's at her job as a restaurant chef later, she's talking to one of her colleagues. She mentions Paul the wine guy, and she basically says, "Oh yeah, I know that guy. I was able to get him back after he couldn't get it up for 2 years." And she's like, "What?" It's the same thing he told me. And I was very confused by this because I'm like, why would this be a pickup line? Why is that something that a woman wants to hear, like, oh, yeah, I can't perform. And then she's like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to sleep with this guy
I'm going
now.
to try.
I thought that was a very strange pickup line that I didn't understand why that would work on multiple women.
I'm a woman and I couldn't tell you.
It didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I didn't really get that.
It's bizarre.
It's just kind of like, oh, sorry. I don't really get it.
Yeah, because I feel like that would be something where it's like, oh, like, because as he's saying it, number one, did not cross my mind that this was possibly a line.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
Didn't
like,
seem
oh,
like a
he's
line.
probably still grieving that relationship.
Right.
He's not ready for a new one.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, oh, so this is a sign that he's still in love with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is a sign that he doesn't want to be dating and he's not over her.
Correct. That was my assumption as well.
But instead, she takes him home and then they have like great, amazing sex. And she's like, oh, me and Paul maybe might be something. And then obviously that doesn't happen. Speaking of which, can we talk about this house, this apartment that she lives in?
It's huge. Her apartment is massive.
She lives alone.
She lives in an
She lives by
apartment
herself
in New York City with a huge 2-bedroom apartment, a lavish living room, nice open kitchen. I mean,
she has a balcony.
I mean, it's a gorgeous apartment. And she's a chef at a restaurant. So, I mean, we're not sure where her income is in this episode. They don't discuss it. So maybe she's doing well for herself. But it's like,
she must be.
Girl, you have a 2-bedroom apartment.
She has an extra apartment. She has an extra
that's
bedroom.
That's just chilling there. That you're not collecting rent from. Nothing.
And we know, and they establish early in the episode that Chandler and Joey live across the hall. We don't see their apartment in this episode, but we obviously see it in later episodes. They share an apartment. Again, across the hall, but doesn't seem to be as big as Monica's, which is interesting.
Yeah.
They don't have the balcony.
Right.
And so like their apartment seems a lot more like an apartment that two guys living in New York would live in. Like it feels it feels
right.
more
Reasonable.
normal.
Yeah.
But like her apartment seems lavish and they live on the same floor.
So talking about things that don't really add up in real life. So the size of her apartment is like, girl, wow. The second thing that is like when you watch it, it's like before they go to work in the morning, their friends are coming over. They're having breakfast.
they're having coffee. They're having a whole vibe.
They're talking about whatever their day, how things going, how was the date last night. It's like, y'all gotta go to work. You think I'm gonna wake up in the morning? I know it's across the hall, but even still, I'm not walking across the hall first thing in the morning to have eggs and coffee with my friend. There's no way.
Nah, they were having a whole like diner breakfast together. And I think it's one thing if I'm just like the 26-year-old guy and my friend lives across the hallway and she's gonna make breakfast. Like, all right, I'm gonna pull up and have some food and coffee. But it's like they're like socializing.
They're like getting settled, yeah.
At 7 a.m, presumably before they each go to their respective jobs. So I'm like, this is. I don't know. I'm also not a morning person, so this did not add up for me at all. Where like I would not want to see any of my friends first thing in the morning before I go to work. I barely want to talk to. I barely want to look in my own mirror in the morning before I go to work. I definitely don't want to be looking at anybody else.
Yeah, when I had roommates, I remember it was like, luckily they were typically like me, so it's like in the morning we already knew like this is not chat time.
No, it's like hey, what's up?
It's like hey, morning. You grab your things.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
And you begrudgingly walk out the door.
I'm home a little late tonight. All right, word. All right, cool. And then it's like, that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah, we're not like having a whole discussion about how'd your date go last night.
Yeah, and it's like, and I live with these people in the same apartment, and I'm not doing that.
If I want to know about your date last night, I'm asking you after
I get
home from work.
At dinner tonight.
Definitely not before. Definitely not before.
So that was interesting. So a thing about Monica that I wanted to point out, though, is actually that the NBC West Coast president expressed fear that the audience would immediately perceive Monica as a slut because she's having sex with this guy in the first episode.
That's crazy.
And I was like, wow, like I wouldn't even think of that being an issue now. But back then they were like nervous.
Sign of the time.
They were like, because apparently we were supposed to see her in bed with Paul. And they ended up changing it to remove that scene because they just didn't want people to be like turned off. Like, oh,
trying to get the show picked
fast,
up,
girl. Yeah,
they trying to get the show picked up. It's like let's not do anything risky.
Right. So they made sure that she was more smitten with him, and that he kind of like tricked her. So that way it was different than her just like freely wanting to enjoy herself sexually. I don't know.
1994,
Gotta
baby.
keep that purity up for the women.
1994.
Yeah.
But they do establish a lesbian, which is pretty racy
Yeah,
in 1994.
That's true.
Even though she's not actually on screen.
Not yet. We do meet Carol later on in the show, but right now we don't have a Carol. So now this is where Ross, like you said, he's very down and he's missing his wife and all that. The guys are of no help whatsoever. And he says, man, I just want to be married. And then in walks Rachel wearing a wedding dress and her hair is soaking wet. And then your boy Chandler comes out with, and I just want $1 million. Which was perfect. And so now it's like, Rachel, like, so Monica recognizes her instantly. They went to high school together. Ross obviously knows Rachel because his younger sister was friends with her, or at least acquaintances with her. And something about Friends I have to point out here is that for people who watch the show, there have been a number of things in the storylines that really aren't consistent in later episodes. Because in this episode, we have Monica introducing the crew to Rachel. This is Joey, this is Phoebe, this is Chandler, and you remember my brother, Ross. But in later episodes, we see that Chandler had already met Rachel when they have like flashback episodes.
Oh, yeah, they just made that up.
So it's like he actually met her before. So this is an inconsistency. And throughout the show, there are things that come up where it's like, well, this doesn't make sense because you said that they knew each other from here. And it's also strange that, so you know Monica from high school. You knew she lived in the city. And it's like, y'all really weren't that close because you didn't invite her to your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
She runs out, leaves poor Barry at the altar, and realized that she didn't want to marry him because she was looking at a gravy boat and realized that she was more turned on by the gravy boat than her fiance. Which is a very strange thing to say.
Yeah, I don't even understand what that means, to be honest with you.
I guess she really likes China.
Yeah, I don't even really get it.
But yeah, she was over Barry, didn't want to do it. And we learned that Rachel is a very spoiled girl. Her parents still pay for all of her credit cards. She has a life where it's not the life that these adults live. They all have real jobs, which actually she is like shocked by when she asks them. Like, you all have real working jobs? And Monica's like, yeah, that's how we buy things and pay for things. Like, we need money. And in her life, it's like her parents pay for everything, and then she was going to marry Barry and then have him pay for everything. So she was definitely going to be a trophy wife. She had no intentions of ever getting a job.
And this is also why she comes looking for Monica, because prior to the wedding, she still lived at home with her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And we can assume that these characters are probably in their early to mid-20s. Mm-hmm. So maybe she's like 24, 25. And after she walks out on Barry, her dad's basically like, what are you doing? I'm not supporting this decision. So now she has nowhere to go. And she's like, oh, I just figured I'd look you up and you weren't at your apartment, so I came in here. And it's not super clear exactly.
Someone told her that Monica was there. Like, some guy in her apartment said Monica said.
Well, what's not clear to me is, why did you come looking for Monica, a person that you did not invite to your wedding? You obviously weren't very close. So I guess we're supposed to believe that this is the only person she could have run to for help instead of one of her actual friends.
Yeah, she's like, well, you lived in the city, so I came here. And it's like, well, what happened to your maid of honor? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if that happens in real life, you would just grab your best friend and like be like, we're out of here. That's what I would think you would do.
Maybe they all live with their parents too.
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
She's like, I need to find somebody independent.
Yeah, maybe.
To prop me up.
And then she basically just like invites herself to live with Monica.
Yep.
No discussion was had.
Nope.
No talk about rent. Just like, yeah, I'm going to live here, Dad. And then this is the part where it kind of pisses me off because the friends are all like...
Monica seems very okay with all of this.
Yeah, she's like, okay.
She's just like, all right, I guess you can stay here.
But then Rachel goes out, tries to find a job, and went on 12 interviews, and no one wants her. Which means she has zero experience.
Said, I'm going to go get one of those job things. because she's never heard of one before.
She is not. She is not. And so now she completely like fails out, gets no job, But she was able to buy these really cute boots.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn early on that Rachel loves shopping. And this is something that we see throughout the show. It ends up eventually being like part of her job, ends up being like a personal shopper.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that her character absolutely loves. And the friends at the end of the episode basically try to persuade her, and they eventually do, to cut up all of the credit cards that her dad is paying for because she now must be independent. I wasn't really a fan of that.
No?
No, because when she cuts this stuff up, she has no income coming in.
Nope.
And daddy's willing to pay for this. So why am I cutting anything up until I have something else secure?
Well, obviously, these 5 bozos are going to be paying my way for the next few weeks at least until I find a job, because I'm already staying here rent free and I don't have any money other than these credit cards. So I guess you guys are going to be buying my food as well.
I mean, yeah.
All right.
Because I was just like,
Great.
why am I cutting
I'm
up?
already living here for free. So if you guys really want me to cut these credit cards up.
Because I'd have been like, yeah, this makes no sense, guys. I actually need to live for a little bit. And first of all, her dad gave her like 4 or 5 different credit cards.
She did.
It wasn't one.
She had a few.
So mommy and daddy have money. They're accomplishing that. So yeah, so now she's like be on her own, and by the end of the episode, she ends up getting a job as a waitress there. And you have from the very first episode this interaction with Ross and Rachel. It's obvious that he finds her attractive. He remembers her from high school. He even admits to having a major crush on her when they were in school, which she was aware of.
She's like, yeah, I knew. I knew about that.
But you were just Monica's geeky older brother,
Yeah.
so I really didn't care. She didn't say that, but essentially those are the vibes she's giving off. And so Ross is in this awkward position where it's like he's living alone, he's missing his wife, he is just mourning the relationship, and Joey is like, dude, why do you even care? Do you know how many women there are out there? All these different flavors of ice cream he talks about. Grab a spoon and find another flavor.
Classic Joey.
Like, what are we doing? Why are you crying over this woman? He doesn't understand.
He doesn't.
At all. And Ross is still hesitant to start anything new because obviously the wounds are still fresh. But then
There's also no indication that Joey has ever been in love before. So
no,
there's no reason
no,
for him to have any understanding of what Ross is going through.
no. Nor does he want to.
No.
Like, he's just here to have a good time.
Yeah, how you doing?
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's all he wants to do. So by the end of the episode, between like Ross and Rachel, he ends up asking her if he could eventually ask her out. It was like a pre-ask out.
It was a pre-ask out. I was like,
Trying
yo.
to prime her.
Yeah, it's like, yo, so like if I asked you out at some point, like, what would you say?
But do you think it would be okay if I asked you out sometime, maybe?
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay. Okay, maybe I will.
What did you think of that?
Nah, it was trash. It was definitely trash. I'm like, come on, dog. It's like, bro, either pull up or don't pull up. Like, it was like a half pull up. It was like, I'm pulling up, but not yet. I just wanted to pre-warn you that it's like, come on, dog. And then what if she's like, what is she actually going to say to that? Like, okay, like, she could have curved him.
Yeah,
she could have
could've.
curved him and been like, yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that right now. But she was like, yeah, I guess I'd be open to that.
Mm-hmm.
So then for me, it's like, all right, so do it now. Like,
Yeah.
once she gives you the opening, you have to just take it before you do it 3 months later. And she's like, nah, dogs. Like, what are you waiting for at that point? Yo, would it be cool if maybe I asked you out at some point? And she's like, yeah, I'm down. So it's like, all right, so what are you doing this weekend? Like, I don't understand.
I mean, to be fair,
Pull up or don't pull up.
She just left Barry at the altar, bro. Like, maybe he wants to give her a little bit to, settle down a little bit.
And if that's the case,
why even ask?
then don't even ask the question yet. Just
Yeah.
wait.
That's true.
Like, I don't understand the value. I don't see any advantage of a pre-ask out.
It's just letting you know, like, I'm interested.
Yeah, it's like, it's letting you know, like, sooner or later, you won't know when. You won't know when, but I'm going to ask you out on a date. I want to keep you guessing. It's like, come on, bro.
You know what that reminds me of? Those couples who, like, they buy a ring for the girl, but it's not an engagement ring. It's like a promise to
Oh,
propose
the promise
to you.
ring. A promise ring.
A promise
Come
to
on,
propose?
dog. Yeah.
Nah, bro, that joint is trash. That joint is trash. Do not promise to propose to me. Do not.
Like, yo,
Do
it's
not.
like, we're not ready to be engaged just yet, but I'm promising. But I'm promising that the ring is coming. This is a pre-ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like it.
We're not engaged right now. But if
we will.
anybody asks, just say you're engaged to be engaged.
No guy's gonna be impressed by that.
You're pre-betrothed.
Pre-betrothed.
Pre-betrothed. That's crazy, bro. It's even crazier that people wear them. It's like, bro, I'm not wearing this. Like, get out of here,
no
bro.
way. There's no way.
Are you kidding me?
You look crazy.
Hey, what are you doing? This is not an engagement ring. So why don't you just save it until you're ready to actually propose to me?
Can you imagine?
Insane.
Imagine I'm out, I'm wearing this ring, and they be like, "Oh, you got engaged?" Nah, it's a
Not
promise. It's a promise I will be.
Bro, they're gonna judge you as soon as you go to the bathroom. All your friends gonna be talking bad about you. Damn, I want better for Andrene. I don't know what she's on. But man, this guy's really, I really think he's stringing her along. I don't know. Nah, they gonna be talking crazy about you. Don't go to the bathroom alone, bro. Because that's gonna be the exact moment where you're gonna get fried.
Yo, this episode brought up something that reminded me of the 90s, like back when those Spanish novellas were mad popular, like Telemundo. And there's a scene where like they're watching this like Spanish soap opera, and I was like, yo, they used to be on like a lot. Like I don't even know why we were like so aware of them, but I remember them being like a big thing.
Well, we also had like 20 channels. So
that's true.
You would see Telemundo a lot more than you would now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I feel like there are people who would like watch it like with the captions on, or people who are into the storyline. I heard they're like very intriguing and captivating. So
yeah, for sure.
They were watching that joint on here, and that kind of made me laugh. Now, as far as things that didn't age well, there was a lot of talk of suicide in this episode. Like
That's true.
Like a lot of it. And I was like, bro, this would not be mentioned in today's climate on a pilot episode of a sitcom.
No.
So the first time it happens is when Ross comes in and he's down in the dumps because of Carol, and he's like, hi. And Joey basically says, like, this guy says hi and I want to kill myself. And I was like, oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Cue laugh track.
Big laugh. Huge. So I said, oh, okay. And then Rachel is talking about having to be out on her own now that she's no longer under mommy and daddy's roof. And Phoebe goes into this story about how I remember when I first moved into the city after my mom killed herself, and then my stepdad went back in prison, and then I lived with a guy who was cleaning windshields at like the Port Authority, but then he killed himself, and I was just like, bro, what is happening? And again, it's like Phoebe's life is actually really sad, but we're meant to just be like, anyway, she's a weird one. And it's like, Phoebe has trauma.
Yeah.
And no one's talking about it. But again, it's all like for the laugh.
Yeah, it's all like, well, I guess that's why she's so weird.
Exactly.
That must explain her quirks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I said, oh, those were some different times.
Yeah.
That would never, ever happen in today's society.
Definitely different times.
Ow. So by the end of the episode, after Ross does that fake pre-ask out, Monica comes out and asks him, like, basically, are you good? And he says to her, yeah, I just grabbed a spoon.
Woo!
You know, bringing it back to Joey's talk. So now we know, like, this show is going to be a little bit about
the will they, won't they.
Will they, won't they? What's going to happen between Ross and Rachel? And of course, by the very last episode, like, they end up together.
Of course.
Came full circle.
Of course. You couldn't have ended this show without them being together because, number one, they established this whole Rachel and Ross romance from the beginning, the very first episode, but it also becomes a running theme throughout the series where he has a crush on her and they finally get together, but then they break up and then there's a baby and it's just like, there's a lot of things happening between Ross and Rachel But like I said, it is kind of the engine that makes the entire series run. And so I don't think you can shut the whole show down without it being them being happily ever after. Like, there was really no choice.
Yeah, they needed that.
Yeah.
All right, you want some facts?
I do want some facts.
Okay, so as you know, the show, they always had the title of the episode was like the one where, the one with, whatever. So the title of this episode is The One Where Monica Gets a Roommate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, of course, is going to be introducing Rachel. During this pilot, the filming of the episode, Matt LeBlanc was suffering from the flu at the time. And they said his temperature went up to 102 degrees while filming.
Nah, dog.
Can you imagine trying to work like that?
And also, I'm not working with a dude that has the flu. Because I'm pretty sure that's contagious.
Oh, that's contagious.
Isn't it? So how is this working for the rest of us? So he's going to get us all sick?
I mean, you trying to make this money or nah?
I don't know, bro. I'm not trying to get this flu.
They did
I don't even know if this show's getting picked up. I'm getting sick.
They did it. They did.
I mean, it worked out for them. They became millionaires off this show, so I guess it was worth the risk. But there's no way they would have known that.
Right. The original script ended on a more dramatic note with Ross finding out that his ex-wife Carol is now carrying his baby. That, of course, does end up playing out on the show a few episodes later, but they were going to do it at the pilot. And they decided later on they were going to just draw it out a little bit more. I mean, I'm not sure. I think I like this ending better.
They probably didn't want it to be like
Too
overkill.
much. Yeah.
Because then it might have been like, why y'all doing too much?
And also, I think it would shift the focus away. Like, the way this ended is like telling us, like, oh,
yeah,
this Rachel thing is going to be a thing. So I think this was a better way.
If the pilot ends with Carol being pregnant, then the show becomes about a love triangle.
Yes.
Which is actually not what happens with this show at all.
Yes. Agree with that. Lisa Kudrow apparently didn't know how to play the guitar. This is not only about the pilot, but it's just like her character in general. Because later on she does Smelly Cat and all these crazy shows, all these crazy songs. And she said that they had to learn basically how to do the chords just for those songs because she can't actually play. She was on Ellen after their reunion episode, and she was saying that for the reunion she had to play Smelly Cat with Lady Gaga. And she was nervous because she's like, I actually can't play the guitar. And so she went to Google and was like, what are the chords for Smelly Cat? And she was like, thanks to whoever did it out there, but like it was online. And she basically just memorized the chords so she could play it at the reunion.
That's
I was
funny.
like, that's amazing that the fans knew what to put up there. And so that's what she followed.
Nah.
I said, well,
These fan bases be going super hard.
So the one thing I'll say about this cast in general that I think is really cool and I wanted to point out is that this is the first TV cast to negotiate as a group. So during the first season, each cast member was receiving about $22,000 per episode. And then later on during the second season, each actor was supposed to receive slightly different salaries. And they all banded together and they were like, yeah, we're not going to do the show unless we all get equal salary. And by 1997, they all earned $100,000 per episode.
And by the last season, I think it was $1 million an episode.
Yeah, it was something crazy. But they were kind of just like, yeah, like, why are we going to let Hugh play? Like, we're all acting. We're all doing this together. And I think it was
amazing
smart.
Because that also means that they established a pretty close friendship fairly quickly. Because I think there's a reason they're the first show that this has happened for, right? Like, people get paid differently based on how well they test or how many plot lines are written for them. Like, there's various reasons where they're not going to pay 6 people the same amount of money because they're not actually all main characters. And so for them to basically be like, no, this show is about all 6 of us equally, like, that only happens if they actually care about each other in real life.
Yeah.
And that's rare.
One thing I did read that I thought was interesting is before the pilot even aired, I think it was David Crane, but one of the creators basically took them on a trip to Vegas and said, all right, guys, all 6 of y'all, this is probably the last time y'all can all go out together and like not have a crowd of people hounding you, hopefully. So like go out and enjoy yourselves. And they took that time to like take a trip and bond as friends prior to the project coming out. And maybe that played a part of
They
them
were
just
friends
like
before friends.
they became friends. So I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on the theme song?
I mean, it's an iconic theme song. I think it's one of the most memorable. Yeah, I don't know that I have any more opinions other than that, but like, yeah, it's a song. It's a fun song that makes it feel like you're about to watch something that's lighthearted and fun. And it's like, I'll be there for you. Is like, it's really about this core friendship, even though it is established that they're going to be like navigating their love lives. Yeah, I think it sets the scene for the show of it being like kind of like whimsical and fun.
Yeah. It's funny, in an interview, Jennifer Aniston said that they didn't particularly like filming the fountain opening.
Yeah, I bet.
Because it's basically like, it felt a little odd. They were all like, I'll be like dancing around, throwing stuff in the
I was
fountain.
thinking as I was watching it, I'm like, I wonder if they even knew what the song was at the time when they were filming it. Like, they might have just been
just in silence, just dancing around.
or just dancing to like random music that wasn't necessarily this song.
You're right. I've heard a lot of times in movies, like, we'll see people in a club and I'm like, why are they dancing off beat? Because they're not actually dancing to what they
don't decide what music they're going to use until post-production. So then they just have to just like dance generically enough that it would match any song.
Maybe that will explain what happened in Showgirls. Maybe.
It's not going to explain everything. It's not going to explain everything.
All right. So I guess now, since it's a pilot, we're going to decide, based on this pilot episode, would you continue to watch Friends?
Based on this pilot alone, yeah, I think I would probably give it a few more views to kind of see where it goes. I mean, this is a show that would appeal more to adults. So if I was watching this in 1994 as an 8-year-old, probably not. But watching it now as an adult, I'm like, okay, like, it was pretty funny. It had some decent laughs. There's 6 main characters, so like that gives you a lot of options to be able to connect to at least one of them. Even if you're not like a big fan of Ross or Monica or Rachel, like there's still 3 other people there. Right. So, yeah, I feel like I would give it another view. It wasn't like this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, but I feel like they did a good job of creating a unique brand of humor that set them apart from like all the other sitcoms that were out at the time. Yeah. And I feel like that was the most important thing to do at this time when like there were so many sitcoms. It did feel different. And I would even say that despite the fact that they may have stolen this idea, this show doesn't really remind me of Living Single, which I love, by the way. Mm-hmm. Like, I do feel like they don't feel the same. Other than the fact that like, oh, there's this group of friends. But it's like, they don't act the same. They don't have similar characteristics. Like, it's a very different show for me. So, yeah, I'd give it another watch.
Okay, cool. For me, my answer is going to be yes. But I will say, based on the pilot alone, I actually really enjoyed Phoebe. Because there were things that she was doing, like, yes, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, she has a lot of trauma, which kind of explains how she is. But the part that I really liked is Rachel realizes that now she has blown up her life and she's hyperventilating. And she's like, I need to relax. And she's breathing into like a paper, like a brown bag, trying to breathe. And Phoebe comes over and starts singing like a few of my favorite things.
From The Sound of Music.
Just try to think of nice, calm things. Raindrops on roses and doorbells and sleigh bells and thing with mittens. La la la, something with string. I'm all better now. I helped.
Yeah, and they find her to be annoying, but I was like, oh, I feel like I would enjoy her because I often break out into song when we're having conversations. And I was like, I feel like Phoebe and I would vibe, actually.
So she would have been the one that you would most likely hang out with.
Based on this episode, I think, yeah. Like, she seemed like a lot of fun. And she, realizes something is wrong with someone and she's trying to help, and she's kind of a funny person. So I was like, oh, I kind of enjoy Phoebe. So yeah, definitely a yeah for me. And one thing I wanted to point out that I actually forgot to mention earlier, for those of you who watch the show, later on in the show, Phoebe ends up playing this role of her twin sister, Ursula, who is this like very ditzy waitress. And apparently Ursula is a character on the show Mad About You.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's another 90s sitcom I've never watched.
She was a waitress on that show. And so when she got the role for Friends, basically Mad About You agreed for them to write Ursula on later on into the show on Friends. So like she basically was on Friends and Mad About You at the same time, playing these different roles. And I just thought that was so cool. I was
They're
like,
on the same network. They
yeah.
can do that.
Yeah. So, you might watch Mad About You and see Ursula on it. And then it was kind of like an inside joke so that if it came on right after Mad About You, people could be like, wait, didn't we just see her in the last episode? Right. And it's like, well, yes, Ursula is also on Friends.
Yeah. And it also works because Friends was so popular that if you're a Mad About You viewer, you can assume that a lot of the people, like there was probably some crossover.
You would just stay and watch it.
Like,
yeah.
Well, not even just that, but like if they can assume that there are enough people watching Mad About You that also watch Friends that they'll get the joke.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what makes it work. If Friends wasn't popular, then the idea probably wouldn't make any sense.
Right. But this is my first time even hearing about this, and I was like, oh, that's actually brilliant. So kudos to them.
All right. Kudos to them.
Ah, good one. All right, y'all. If you have any movie requests that you would like to send our way, feel free to shoot us an email at rewindrewatch1990s or hit us up on our social media at RR90spod. Please continue to leave us your reviews. Give us a rating or comments wherever you listen. We love getting your comments on Spotify. I feel like is where we tend to get most of them. So please keep them coming. We are also now streaming on YouTube. And if you would like to support the show, get access to bonus episodes from the late 80s and early 2000s as well, be able to vote on episodes and engage in our exclusive chat, join our Patreon for just $5 a month. All right. Are there any final words for Friends?
Welcome to the real world. It sucks. You're gonna love it.
All right, y'all. Later.
Adios.